Hey YouTube, hey subscribers, thanks for tuning in. A couple of months ago, we explored this topic on a video called On Narcissist Demonic Possession. It turned out to be a very popular video and generated a lot of discussion and a lot of requests for follow-up. So I've definitely been rolling the topic around in my head, thinking about how to best tackle it again. And I shared a clip from a video I came across a couple days ago on one of my more recent videos. And it's a David Icke speech that he did. It's actually a 4-part video series. It's very long. I think grand total, I think it's about 10 hours long. So you would really have to commit to watching this whole thing. So I'm just kind of watching it broken up over segments over the course of a couple days. And it's deep, y'all. I mean, deep. So the opening, or really part 2 of this speech, really it's all very related and interwoven, so it's kind of hard to break it apart. But part 2 is really where he kind of gets into this aspect of the possibility, or really from his standpoint, the reality of individuals among us who represent a different force entirely than the rest of us. And it's that opposition of that force that causes all of the world's evils, ills, struggles, problems, you name it. We see it play out in narcissists, but from a cultural and historical standpoint, this issue has been around for a very long time, and people have called it a variety of different things over the years. So where the video clip that I'm going to share with you picks up is he's kind of getting into the different cultures and the different cultural interpretations of basically the exact same thing. We're all describing the exact same thing, and it's really kind of creepy and mind-blowing when you see the parallels between what ancient societies have been saying all along and what we've been saying and talking about in just the very recent past. So what I really wanted to focus on and what I really edited down were the characteristics that he started to call out. He lists all their different names that they've had, but the one that he uses towards the end of the clip are the ARCHONs. So he really gets into the ARCHON characteristics, and literally check for check, box for box, matches up with narcissism to a T. He then kind of goes into psychopathic characteristics. And those of you who followed for a while know my opinion on psychopaths versus narcissists. I believe psychopaths are in full control of their intelligence. I think they're the ones operating it and running it, versus a narcissist seems that they are controlled, operated, and run by something else entirely. But I won't get into that. There are other videos of mine that address that. So do note that I have heavily edited this video just for the sake of flow, for the sake of pulling out the points that I really wanted to highlight. But you can find a link to the full video in the description box below, and I'll try to find the other parts and link those also if you're interested in the full series of this video, which was actually released in 2014. I thought that was interesting. So I'm not sure what has prompted this recent upload of this video, or maybe it's been out for a while, but this is my first time coming across it. Super glad that I did. And I'm also not going to come back with any closing thoughts. I'll see you guys down in the comment section and we'll just have our discussion there. But he really says it all. There's really nothing more that I can say to add to it, other than just listen out for the different points and think about the different ways that we've described it over the past year or so on this channel, and be amazed at how long this has been around and the impact it's having on society today, and maybe what we can do about it in the future. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play that video clip. Thanks.
The star people, many examples of that. They are the demons of Christianity. To the Gnostics, they are archons, and to the Islamic and pre-Islamic world, they're called the JINN. And in their prime form, they are energetic in nature, but they can take form, as I will talk about. So, like I say, they're described so much in the same way, because they're different names for the same thing. Now, this, for me, was one of the great finds ever in terms of understanding the nature of what is happening. At Nag Hammadi in Egypt, about 77 miles north of Luxor on the Nile, In 1945, a sealed jar was found with loads and loads of documents in it, leather bound. And they told the beliefs and the perceptions of this people called the Gnostics. And the Gnostics had a completely different view of reality than religion, which is why the Roman Catholic Church and the Roman Church tried to destroy them wherever they got any strength and any foothold. They ran the great library at Alexandria, which had something like 500,000 scrolls detailing the beliefs of the ancient world and the history of the ancient world, destroyed by the Roman Church. The religious establishment wanted these people destroyed because they were dangerous, because they had the truths they didn't want the people to know about. And this is what these scrolls and this find at Nag Hammadi said. 1/5 of the texts, and there were lots of them, were about a force they called the ARCHONS, which they say created our physical universe, and they equated them with the Judeo-Christian Yahweh Jehovah God. And they are inorganic, not resulting from or produced by growth. They are artificial. They said that the demiurge archons had no creative imagination and envy humans because we have. They're like cyborgs. Again, we're coming back to the inorganic. Like cyborgs, a robotic race that can imitate but not innovate. And the word they used was counter-mimicry. Now, what they were saying, in effect, is if you gave these archons a blank sheet of paper, they could create nothing on it. They don't have that creative imagination, that what was called intentionality. But you give them something with a piece of paper with something on it, and they can twist it and manipulate it once it exists. And they used the term fantasia, because these entities, they said, just as the Islamic people say about the jinn, have the ability to create virtual reality illusions. They're mind parasites. They possess humanity and manipulate the way they perceive everything. And they say the word you could use more than any about the archons was deception. They are deceivers. And what they create is an inversion of the natural order, which will become so crystal clear as we go along. Why? Interesting, like we see these different names, and actually for the same thing. The classic Satan is called the deceiver and the demon of demons, as this demiurge is called the archon of archons, the Lord Archon. Everything is conscious. Even a distortion is conscious. Even an inversion is conscious, but it's conscious in a way that reflects the inversion and the distortion. And if you look at what we call evil, it is live written backwards. Evil is simply an inversion of life, an inversion of perception, and evil is extreme ignorance, which is the inversion of truth and awareness. And because this force, this archontic force, shall I call it, is an inversion of life, that's why it and anything attached to it is obsessed with death, which is an inversion of life. And so the death cult, which is what this archontic force and its followers are, is about destroying. It's about killing. And whereas the natural order is about life and abundance. And so when you look at the way the system, the archontic system that I'll come to, is destroying life. It's destroying life in war, but it's destroying life, the natural world. And it seems a contradiction, but it's not, because that's their world. The Archon world described by the Gnostics is one of death, one of no creative imagination. It's a death cult, and all this pollution and environmental devastation is absolutely what it wants, because that's its reality. And the other thing about the archontic mind is it's what we call psychopathic. They're psychopaths. The definition of which is this: no empathy, no remorse, no empathy, no ability to put themselves in the feelings of those that suffer the consequences of their actions. Once you have no empathy, you have no limit to what you will do because you have no emotional consequence for doing it. No remorse for what you do, no shame. Parasites overwhelmingly. Why? Because they have no creativity of their own, so they have to parasite off the creativity of the target population. That's what the system does. Look at banking. What else is that but an exercise in parasites? And these people, which manifest as many world leaders and all the rest of it I'll come to, are pathological liars. What is a pathological liar? An inversion of truth, inversion. And they'll do whatever it takes to get their end goal through controlling perception. And what do the Islam and pre-Islamic world say about the jinn? They can manipulate humans by creating illusions.